join me in the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have two proclamations today. David, you want to go first?
I would love to. If you didn't know, we are coming up on the National Day of Prayer here very quickly on May the 3rd. And you're all invited to participate in that day. We try to do that on the courthouse steps right here in Clermont County. In the event that we run into inclement weather, we will be moving to the Presbyterian Church that's right behind the courthouse. So you're more than welcome to be there, and we would like to have a great attendance on that day. So this morning, this proclamation is about the National Day of Prayer. And Pastor Martin, if you would accept it, would that be okay? Proclamation declaring May 3rd, 2018, a day of prayer in Clermont County. Whereas days of prayer have been called for since 1775, when the Continental Congress designated a time for prayer in forming a new nation. And whereas in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed a proclamation asking Americans to set aside April 30th as a day to confess national sins and to pray for clemency, forgiveness. And whereas such a day has been observed nationally since 1952, when the Congress and President Harry S. Truman provided for a National Day of Prayer on which the people of the United States may turn to God in prayer, meditation, and whereas Congress has called upon our citizens to reaffirm the role of prayer in our society, and whereas Clermont County is the home to people who pray, seeking inspiration, strength, and guidance from God, whereas the 67th Annual National Day of Prayer will be observed on Thursday, May 3rd, 2018, with the theme, Pray for America, Unity. Whereas, now therefore, let it be proclaimed that the Board of Clermont County Commissioners do hereby designate the day of May 3rd, 2018 as a National Day of Prayer throughout Clermont County, and ask that all citizens celebrate their faith through prayer and reflect on the many blessings, express gratitude, and recognize the need for prayer in our lives. And it's signed by Edwin H. Humphrey, President, David L. Painter, Vice President, and David H. Jubal, Member of the Clermont County Board of Commissioners. Pastor Martin, if you would accept this on behalf of the National Day of Prayer, I'd appreciate it.
I will
Thank you.
accept it.
And if you'd say a couple of words,
well, sure.
we'd appreciate that.
There's a great scripture in the book of James, chapter 3, verses 17 and 18, and I want to declare that word for all of you. And it simply says that the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure and full of quiet gentleness. It's peace-loving and courteous. It allows discussion and is willing to yield to others. It is full of mercy and good deeds. It is wholehearted, straightforward, and sincere. That's the kind of wisdom that I pray for the three of you and those that are with you. We are very blessed in Clermont County to have leadership that seeks the wise counsel of God. Because as you know, in America, that's not always the case anymore. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for being
National
here.
Day of Prayer. And I want to invite you to the Union Township Veterans Memorial Park. We have an observance at 7 o'clock in the evening right in front of the helicopter. And we've been doing it. It'll be our 20th year, just coming May 3rd. And we have anywhere from 100 to 200 people that attend. It's a wonderful observance, and we're very thankful for the privilege of being able to do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Just
All right.
if we want to take a picture.
Sure.
If you're step to the center there.
Okay.
Ready? Step on back in front of the Humphrey sign.
There you go.
Look at myself in the monitor, I see white hair.
Looks good to me.
Yeah, me too.
Much better than no hair.
You have your.
All right, let's do one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
It's my privilege.
All right.
Mr. Usually you have another?
We do. Is there anyone to receive The older Americans? Good enough. Hi. This is a few days early, but it's declaring May of 2018 as the Older Americans Month in Clermont County. Whereas Clermont County is a community that includes more than 40,000 citizens 60 years of age and older. And whereas older adults in Clermont County are the foundation upon which our communities are formed, who bestow gifts of wisdom and insight upon younger generations and continue to strengthen our communities and their influence. And whereas the theme for Older American Month, Engage at Every Age, emphasizes that you are never too old or young to take part in activities that enrich your physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And whereas our older adults in Clermont County are to be commended for their role in creating and bolstering the fiber of our community and our nation. And whereas we have a responsibility within our community to recognize and respect the hard work and sacrifice older Americans have contributed by working to enrich their quality of life. Now therefore be it proclaimed that we, the Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim that Clermont month of May 2018 is the Older Americans Month, signed by Commissioner Edwin Humphrey, Commissioner David Painter, and myself. So, congratulations. Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah, if you don't mind. My name is Bill DeHaas. I'm the Community Services Director at Clermont Senior Services. And, I can just say that we're very honored to be given the duty of providing services to seniors in our county. I oversee our lifelong learning centers where our seniors come to be enriched. And last year, in 2017, we had nearly 24,000 visits to our centers throughout the county. And seniors are coming for, it may be just simply socialization. They might play some bingo or some card games, but they're also coming for education. They're coming for exercise and wellness programs, Tai Chi, yoga, cooking classes. So we have a lot to offer, and it truly is a testament to Clermont County and our desire to continue learning throughout our age. Just quickly, I do want to say on May 1st, we do have an education event coming up. Welcome to Medicare. It's a program provided by the Ohio Health Insurance Information Program. It's at our Union Township Civic Center. We have one at 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. And it's an opportunity for individuals that are coming into the Medicare healthcare program to get some updates and learn about changes that are being made for the 2019 program. So, and we have lots of other programs coming up as well. Please feel free to share and visit our website. We have our new summer catalog on there that has all of our upcoming programming. And we'd love for to break that 25,000 visit mark this year.
Bill, the Medicare is for 65 and older?
Correct, 65 and older. Unless you're disabled by Social Security, you can get it at a younger age, but primarily 65 and older.
I also noticed that we call it Older Americans Month. Is that politically correct versus senior citizens?
I think it depends on who you ask, but yes, I think that is the new politically correct term.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming.
Thank
out
you.
and speaking.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you bet.
Thanks, sir.
Want to get a picture here?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Put the picture in the middle there.
Sure. One more.
I forgot I brought my own photographer today. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Right, I know.
Old is the new young.
I think that the correct term would be older Clermont Countyans. right?
That's anyone that's 21 and above.
Let's see, we have two proclamations. We're going to skip the minutes and come back to those at a later date. And we have a presentation by Dan Otke, Superintendent of the Clermont County Board of Developmental Disabilities, regarding the services and programs which are funded in part by their upcoming .75 mil renewal levy. Dan?
Morning, Dan.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you again for the opportunity to just come present a little bit of information related to our upcoming levy request that'll be on the ballot 2 weeks from yesterday. So, and that is, as a reminder, a .75 mil renewal levy originally passed in 2003. It roughly is about $3 million of our budget, and so without its passage, it would have a significant impact for us in relation to services provided moving forward through the rest of this decade into the next. Today with me are Lisa Davis, who is our Public Relations Director, and Kimberly Zaz, who is our Early Childhood Director. I'm appreciative of them being with us today. Last week we had the opportunity, if you remember, Jennifer Neal and her daughters, Molly and Madison, came to share a little bit about what these services mean for them and their family. And I always kind of carry this around with me. This is a document that we have. It's called the Life Map. It kind of talks a little bit about just all the different contact points that we have with individuals that we serve throughout the lifespan. I know this is probably very difficult to see, but Molly and Madison really kind of fit into the school age transition mode, heading into adults, into the adult realm, and we obviously have a impact, and we provide services for that age group, and we do that all the way through the older Americans or older Clermont Countyans. We serve folks with developmental disabilities all the way through that as well. But this morning I wanted to just introduce Bethany Ritchie. She is a mom to a child who is receives services through our early intervention program, and she's going to provide a little bit of a testimony of what that has meant to her and what impact that means for her child, but also I think it will share testimony a little bit about what we provide in relation through our early childhood program. So I'm going to ask if Bethany can come up and share a little bit about her story, and appreciate the opportunity this morning. So,
Welcome.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. When Kimberly asked me to do this, I said talking in front of a few people, no problem. Talking in general, no problem. But then I made some notes and realized talking about my son, problem sometimes. So give me a little grace, if you will, this morning as I make it through this. But thank you for having me. I'm here on behalf of my husband and myself to talk about my son, Parker. He's turning 3 in June, and if you want to know how fast time can go, have a child, and it goes really fast. He was born in 2015, and he was born very unexpectedly 6 weeks early after a picture-perfect pregnancy and no problems, and all of a sudden, wow, here he was. And immediately he was off to Cincinnati Children's Hospital. At first they told us that he had a partially collapsed lung and what they called standard preemie problems, and so we were reassured that he looked strong and great and he just needed a few days of support and some monitoring and we'd be well on our way. And that ended up not being the case. Instead, he took a very steep downward turn and was not responding to some of these very standard early treatments that the hospital usually administered. They were confused and pursued further testing and found out that he had congestive heart failure on day 6 of life, liver failure, a collapsed lung. He had developed a blood clot and was in complete endocrine crisis. So not many of his systems were working on his behalf. At times, in this first few days of life, they were limiting his food merely because they said his vital organs needed every ounce of energy to survive and not to waste blood flow on merely just digesting calories. His IV tubes and wires weighed more than he was, and it took 2 or 3 people and all of the hands available just to move him around in the bed. He was down to 4.5 pounds, and although he wasn't a micropreemie, that was pretty small, and he was struggling pretty hard. They did an echo of his heart and told us that the next few hours would be very critical. If he made it to dinner, it would be a miracle, and that we should call our families. I asked the doctor what he was going to do when he checked him next, if it got worse, and he said, "There is no worse." Among other problems at that time, his heart was not actually beating like a normal heart. It was twisting and trying to move blood around his body. But believe it or not, that was not, thank you, I should have brought one. That was not our biggest issue. Instead, the medicines that they were using to treat all these different problems were having negative impacts on his other bodily systems. So what I was told later, much later at a checkup with one of the doctors, the same doctor that told me there was no worse, is that I had no idea how much arguing and debating was going on behind closed doors about a course of action to save Parker and which system really needed addressed the most. Multiple people at various follow-up appointments still talk about that day and those first 24 hours in heart failure, how they logged onto computer monitors and followed him through the night, watching his vitals and cheering him on. They talked to me about the times that they were at home and where they were, and they remember getting called in by their departments so they could get all hands on board to help. They were consulting specialists all over the country. Everybody was weighing in. Parker did start to turn around and respond to all that early treatment. Thankfully, it was really a miracle. And the same doctor that said there is no worse was the first one to use the words, "when you take him home." I broke down, I stopped him, and I asked him to clarify, and he said yes, it will be a while, but he will leave the hospital and go home eventually. And we did. While we were in the NICU, we were told of a program that could help us help Parker and come to our home to facilitate the therapy that we would need so much for him. We were already scheduling outpatient therapy with the hospital, so many clinic follow-ups every week that I felt like maybe we should just move back down there. And upon our discharge, weeks later, Parker was so delayed in his motor skills that on standard therapy tests that were administered, he scored lower than a newborn despite the fact that he was already 13 weeks old. The health insults that he had experienced basically drained everything out of him and created tremendous deficits in his development. We started home therapy with early intervention almost immediately after our discharge from the hospital, and it has been one of the most positive things that could have ever happened to Parker. I could keep going and relay the rare and unique and emergent medical path that we have walked with Parker even since these critical days in the NICU. It includes over 250 visits to the hospital, multiple ER trips, 5 inpatient stays, 4 neurosurgeries, and anaphylaxis. He has amassed pages of diagnosis codes, some things still unknown, and his hospital charts and scans would take thousands of pages to print. But instead, I would rather focus on the good things. That's what we try to do in our family. And early intervention is certainly at the top of the list for us. First, the caliber of people in this program are amazing. Our therapists were top-notch, always accessible, responsible, and adaptive to Parker's changing needs and creative problem solvers to help us overcome issues. They were professional, they were prompt, they always returned our communication, and in short, in the 3 years that we've worked with them, they have never let us down. They have always exceeded our expectations, and I think that's a really rare thing to say in today's age. So Tiffany and Leslie and Heidi, we thank you very, very much. Second, the design of a program like this is so wonderful for families. In-home therapy was really a blessing. It allowed our therapist to observe and help Parker in his environment where he was more comfortable and more like himself. It allowed them to create a therapy plan for us that was based on our home and our surroundings and our things that we use every day. There were times when we were pulling couch pillows down to prop him up and use things to help him stand. I mean, we weren't using expensive therapy tools. We weren't having to drive to facility. We weren't using aids that were only available when we were at the hospital. It gave us continued support after Parker had surgery and he was supposed to be in isolation. It wasn't supposed to be out in public, so going down to therapy at the hospital was really dangerous for him. We could have a healthy adult come to us and help, especially after some of his neurosurgeries created even larger deficits in his motor skills. It was the perfect complement to the other programs that we were enrolled in for OT and PT and aqua therapy at the hospital, and it integrated so well. All of our therapists communicated and created this huge joint plan for Parker that was perfect. Therapy in general, for me as a mom, a lot of people say, wasn't that a lot of work and it wasn't that really hard? And no, it was one of the best ways I've ever connected with Parker. It allowed me to learn how he learns, to see what he can do and what he's capable of and how I can help him. Third, the financial benefit. When you are faced with a medically complex child, it is no secret that the financial strain can become very overwhelming at times. Receiving such valuable therapy from a support program like this was a huge blessing to our family. And finally, the results. They speak for themselves. I'd bring him today. I thought about it, but he would be running around here like a regular, typical 3-year-old wild child, and probably be a little bit disruptive, but we love those results. We love that he is overcome his deficits, that he is caught up in motor skills, that he is doing every good and bad thing that a almost 3-year-old should be doing. Early on, I asked one of Parker's therapists at the hospital when he wasn't using his legs and he wasn't moving like a typical child, would he ever bear weight in his legs? Would he stand? Was this all for nothing? You know, would he walk? And she said, I really just don't know. We have no idea how much damage has been done to his brain and his body, and only time will tell. I knew we couldn't control the outcome as much as I would have liked to. It was a good life lesson for me. But our family was dedicated doing absolutely everything that we could to make the best possibilities for Parker real possibilities. Our team from early intervention was as dedicated as we were. It's like they became a part of our family. They helped us break down even the simplest of movements into pieces that Parker could do. We would work for weeks on just lifting a leg or lifting his head off the ground. They didn't quit, and they didn't let us quit either. They celebrated with us when things went well and strategized new ideas when things did not. I can say today with 100% confidence that the impact this program has had on my son and family will be lifelong. And although we are aging out in June, very sad about that, the benefits that we will reap from this experience will continue to shape and mold his successes for the rest of his life. My husband and I are planners, and we thought we were ready, and I will give us a little pat on the back and say that we were about as ready as 2 new parents could have been. We were not ready for this, and I don't think we could have made it without Heidi and Leslie and Tiffany on our side. Thank you.
I certainly appreciate Bethany coming to share a little bit and just share her story and kind of her testimony. And I think what resonates for me is in relation to what we strive for with this program, which is to kind of give that boost to be able to help those families in that time. But also, I think our goal is for that is that, as she mentioned, that he'd be running around. Our goal is that hopefully this will, have the early impact that maybe won't result in having to have receive or need services a lot down the line, kind of thing. So we're hoping, in that regard, those are the kind of the benefits of that as well. So, so again, we appreciate Bethany coming out. Certainly, as we've been sharing, any questions related to the levy request, we can certainly answer those at our office. You can call us at 732-7000. Contact Lisa or I, or you can visit ClermontDDlevy.com to see our fact sheet related to it as well. So it is a renewal, not resulting in any increase to the taxpayer, but again, certainly its passage is really important for us to be able to continue these services down the line. So thank you for the time this morning and appreciate the opportunity. So
Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you both.
thank you.
Okay, next we have Steve Ash to talk to us about the benefits for Horan Associates in Clermont County 2017 Plan Performance Review.
Well, thank you for having me. And that was a beautiful story. Really helps, put things in perspective. So that was fantastic. As Commissioner Humphrey mentioned, I'm here to talk about the 2017 plan performance. So every year we meet with HR and the Healthcare Advisory Committee, and we like to review how the medical plan performed the prior year. It helps us give insights to trends, gives insights to strategies, and gives insights to really just plan drivers, so we really understand what's actually happening in the plan performance. It allows us to hopefully come up with additional strategies to not only impact the claims, but the health and well-being of the members of Clermont County's medical plan. So as a brief agenda, first we're going to look at the financials. So we look at 2017 over 2016. We're then going to get into the actual plan performance, so some of the utilization insights. So again, what's driving the plan, what trends are we seeing? We'll then just touch on the upcoming 2019 request for proposals, as well as any other renewals and next steps. So this chart is the 2016 versus 2017 financials. You can kind of see it's broken out on the left side and the right side. So on the left side, it's medical claims, RX claims, total claims, and then we have net total claims. So the net total claims takes into consideration anything we received back from the stop-loss carrier for any catastrophic claim. So that's all in claims. On the right-hand side, you can see there's that PEPM piece. That's that per employee per month. We like to break it out, kind of almost if you will, like a unit cost or a per person cost, because that'll take into consideration any fluctuations in enrollment. So as you can see here, it's actually pretty good news compared to 2016. And we're very happy to see that because 2016 was a very challenging year. We had some very high claims in 2016. So as you can see on the very top line there, medical claims actually went down about 7.4%. A lot of that was due to, again, 2016 being a challenging year. We had several catastrophic claims actually hitting stop loss, and 0 hitting stop loss in 2017. RX claims increased 5.5%. That's actually pretty good as well, because RX trend is around 12% these days. So net total claims went down 4.9, but then when you take into consideration the stop loss that was received in 2016, there was actually a 2.3% decrease. So still very good news. On the right-hand side, it's kind of the same flow, except again, it's that per employee per month breakout, and you can see it's a 3.6% decrease on that per employee per month basis. 2017 actually ended about 2% above our final projection when you look at the all-in total costs, so claims plus those fixed costs with admin and stop loss. So pretty close to where we projected them. The other thing that I want to point out, and we actually qualified for it last year, is we did change stop loss carriers a couple years ago to Sun Life, and Sun Life allows a premium back option if your plan performs well. So we actually did get a check last year from them for the performance, and I do expect to get another one this year for the performance of 2017. So they have to wait until all claims and run-out claims are evaluated, so that should happen in around July or August. So we'll keep you updated on that. So again, when we look at really robust reporting. We try to, again, pull out the high-level insights and drivers of the plan. So we've just summarized a couple of those and included some of the charts from the reporting that we look at just to give you an idea of the things that we're seeing. So the first area that we look at is, the demographics and the risk. The average enrollment actually increased 1.3% or by 14 employees. And then the average member age dropped from 35 to 34.3, and that's in large part, we actually saw a 21% decrease in members that were 65 or older. One of the cool things that we did in 2016 is we sent out our Medicare and Social Security experts to do seminars here at Clermont County, which I think were pretty widely attended. So we're hopeful seeing the drop in age 65 plus might be in part due to that we're educating them and providing them a resource. The chart down there just gives you really all the details about the enrollment. Average employees, total members, which is all the covered lives, average age, and then breakout male, female.
Steve, on the average member age, I guess that would include family members.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Spouses and children as well. So then we always like to look at the conditions. What conditions are prevalent within the enrolled population. A lot of times there's programs that we can leverage from the carrier's perspective to help impact these. One of the things that we've seen for a couple years, and it's not that out of the norm, but your musculoskeletal and connective tissue spend is the highest out of any condition. Again, pretty normal, but what we saw is we actually saw a 9% drop in actual members that had a musculoskeletal claim, but we saw a 1% increase in total spend. So you'd think that kind of correlates. So if you saw a 9% drop, you think you'd see a drop as well. So what we're doing is we're seeing a little bit more severity in some of the musculoskeletal spend. And then when you look at it on a per employee or a per member per month basis, you're actually almost 28% above the norms. So again, while musculoskeletal is typically number one, it is number one on Clermont counties, but again, it's 28% outside the norms. So that's been a bit of a focus area and education for the employees on that.
Is that a result of surgery, going directly to surgery for some of those issues?
A lot of it can be. Yes, a lot of it can be. So if you may have a back issue, a shoulder issue, instead of maybe trying rehab or some alternative things of care, that you're just going directly to surgery. Yeah, absolutely. So if you can offset any sort of surgeries, that's going to be really big savings in that bucket.
Elaborate on that a little bit. If it's musculoskeletal and connective tissue type injury and it results in surgery, what's the correlation between that which is work-related and that which is non-work related?
So you have workers' comp, and that's going to cover anything work-related, so it's not going to hit this plan. So this is more, I guess, extracurricular, maybe some things have been nagging. Over the course of several years, that finally you had to get something done. And there's more in this bucket than just surgeries, but a surgery can be a big driver of this cost. So if you have like physical therapy, different things like that, it'd fall in this bucket. So it is a pretty broad bucket, so that's another reason why a lot of times it's number one.
Right. Okay.
The other thing we saw, a really large jump in malignant neoplasm, which is, I guess a fancy name for cancer. It increased from $198,000 and we went to up to $1 million. So we saw, of your top 10 claimants, 5 of the top 6 were related to cancer. So we saw a bit of a spike in that. When we tried to peel the onion a little bit to figure out, well, what types of cancer, we did see a big spend in breast cancer and colorectal cancer. So one of the things we've talked about is just, that I know you have the mammogram van coming on site, which is very important, making sure that's being utilized, and just overall communication and age-appropriate preventive visits to help offset that.
And any limitation on colon exam?
No, every one of those is going to be covered as a preventive, and we've set the plan up that way to help offset these types of claims. Most plans, or a lot of plans, are set up to where, you have one might be covered at 100%, but if you have to have a follow-up or there's a polyp or something, that's going to be a cost to the member, which is a lot of times can be a deterrent for going to the doctor, and we don't want that.
Yeah, because actually in cost from prior and musculoskeletal, there really isn't that much of a change, but obviously that particular category is a huge change, 406%.
Yeah, yes, that was a really big one, really big. And you can see that chart just kind of outlines your top 10 conditions. We then look at utilization. So, where are the people actually going for services?
Before you get off of that, just a second, that's something, take a look at that because really and truly colon and rectal cancer is one of the only cancers that's 100% treatable and 100% curable if it's caught early. And that number gives me some regard in the fact that we're not doing that. We're getting to the 50-year-old. It takes 14 years for you to develop a cancerous colon tumor. So, there's a lag in there, or these would be being caught as polyps and being taken off.
Mm-hmm.
I'm real close to that. My family has experienced that, and I mean, those are all known risks.
Several years ago, we really stepped back and took a look at that and what was preventing employees from going ahead and getting those tests, the preventative tests. And the feedback we received was, but if I go get the preventative test and they find anything, I'm going to get charged, because then it becomes diagnostic and I'm going to get charged. So we changed the plan. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, we changed the plan to where any colonoscopy, no matter what happens during that colonoscopy, is covered as preventative.
Well,
And so that was really helpful.
let me talk about that too, because a lot of times it's the 50-year. A lot of doctors recommend a colonoscopy at your 50th birthday, and then that is checked, but 50 is way too late. So take a look at that and make sure that we have plans in there for preventative that to ensure that we don't get to the cancer side of that people can go in their 30s, because that's when you get a good baseline for that.
So on the utilization and settings, where are members utilizing the plan? So one of the great things we saw is emergency room visits per 1,000 dropped 16.2%, and we're actually now 11.1% below the norm. One of the things we did for the 2017 plan is we did increase the ER copay on the PPO plan, because we saw this kind of getting out of line, and it appears to have worked. So a lot of times plan changes may be necessary to help drive some better utilization, and we saw that with the ER. The other cool thing, a few years ago, we did the primary care physician initiative, and we saw preventive visits spike drastically, and those have stayed up. And you can see the charts down there. You can see the percent with a preventive visit by relationship, so employee, spouse, or child, or dependent. And then on the right-hand side, you can see it by age. And the red bar indicates the prior utilization, blue bar is current utilization, and the gold's the norm. So you can see your red and blue bars are all above the norms, which is fantastic. And we're really not seeing a drop in those either from the prior year. So it's still effective. Next, we get into prescription drugs, or RX. What we saw is the number of scripts remained relatively flat from 2016 to 17, and you're actually about 17% above the norm in the number of fills. But what the great thing that we see is your generic utilization increased an additional point. You're at 86.2%, and the norm's 82.6. So what that does is it brings down your average cost paid per script because you have such high generic utilization. You can see it's 18.3% below the norm. And those charts really just represent those facts there. Again, with the red being prior, blue current, and gold is the norm. So the RX has some pretty good insights there.
Steve, any data on specifically what's being prescribed and what's driving the number of scripts?
Since it's a high generic, we have some data on like the actual, therapeutic classes that are being treated. But, other than that, it's just a lot of mix of scripts and being a generic. I mean, it's not bad. So if you see high utilization and it's a lot generic, that's probably a good thing because people are managing their conditions, and that's what you want.
Okay.
Yeah, in some regards, Steve, you look at the prior charts, the preventive visits, people are trying to prevent issues.
Yeah.
And maybe by taking, the Lipitors and the Xareltos, they're also trying to prevent a heart attack.
Yeah, exactly.
So they too tend to correlate.
Yeah, which is good. And it's a lot of times, like in the medical, it's hard to say, well, we're filling a lot of scripts. It's like, yeah, but you probably offset a potential heart attack or a diabetic attack, inpatient, so the offsetting effect.
Small price to pay.
Exactly.
I think that trend, Steve, probably follows the physician's program, the preventative to the physician. Once we started that, I think then we, Yvonne, start to see this number of scripts go up, and we just assumed it was because people were going to the doctor and managing those conditions.
Yeah, and they're probably aware of a condition that they've had for a number of years, and then when they finally did their preventive visit, it was identified, and now they're controlling it. Any questions on the claims utilization before I get into the RFPs and the renewals? So here's just a quick recap of the upcoming renewals and then the request for proposals that we'll likely be doing for 2019. So these are the ones we're likely going to be taking action on. So we have Symetra. They are your basic life, voluntary life, and long-term disability vendor. They renew in 2019, and we're going to be conducting a full RFP for that. We also have IMED. They're your voluntary vision provider. They're under 8 guarantee until 2020, but as you recall, last year we became part of the Health Action Council. So we're going to evaluate that IMED vision plan. Kind of looking at some preliminary numbers, it does appear that if we went through the Health Action Council IMED plan, there's going to be some potential savings there, better plan design, and it wouldn't be any disruption because we're really just going through IMED, but it's just through that Health Action Council. One of the things we may look at again is just Park National. They're the health savings account provider. There is no charge on those accounts. I know last year we looked at Charge Snyder a little bit and had some discussions on that. So we'll continue to discuss that with HR and the Healthcare Advisory Committee. So other renewals that are coming up, so last year we moved to UHC and Optum for the medical and pharmacy administration. So we did lock in on a 3-year step rates from them. Sun Life, that is your stop loss provider. That renews 1/1/19, so those are always 1-year renewals. Just again, the premium refund will determine that in July or August, but it does look like we'll qualify for that again. And then if we need, the stop loss renewals come out later. We don't get those till September, October because they're insuring, really bad risk for the most part. So they want to see as much data as they possibly can. So if we don't get a favorable renewal from them, we can always conduct one in September, October. It's a little bit of a wait and see. Dental Care Plus, we did a full RFP for them last year, and they gave us a 3-year rate. So we're locked in with them until 2021. And then you have the Charge Snyder with the flexible spending account that renews in 2019. So we'll work with them on that. Try Healthy AP 1/1/19, and then the P&A Group Cobra also renews 1/1/19. So for those lines, we've typically had some discussions with them. I think everybody's pretty happy with their services, and we normally just lock in with them.
Hey, Steve, could you explain, I think we've discussed it before, but I forgot, the difference between the flexible spending account and the health savings account, FSA, versus the HSA?
Yep, so the health savings account can only be paired with the high deductible health plan. The health savings account, there's a lot of just subtle nuances to it, but I guess like the similarities is you put pre-tax dollars away and you pay for medical services, medical, dental, or vision services with both programs. Again, HSA can only be with the high deductible health plan. HSA money that rolls over every year, so if you don't use it, it's going to roll on over. You can put a lot more into an HSA as well. FSA, that's for the PPO plan, so if you want to put away some pre-tax dollars, they'll pay for co-pays. Maybe you have a child with some orthodontia coming up, you're going to get LASIK, you want to put away tax-free dollars, you can do it in the FSA. The FSA has a lower cap. Are we at $2,600 on the FSA, or did we bump it to $2,650?
On the FSA, it's
$2,550. Okay, so a little bit lower cap on the FSA, but again, it's all like IRS driven as to what you can purchase for each of them. but again, both just pre-tax accounts. So some of the next steps, we have really the year laid out. What we try to do is just be as proactive as possible with getting renewals, doing projections, meeting with HR and the Healthcare Advisory Committee, and discussing strategy. So I won't go through every line item, but ultimately, we'll be doing some RFPs for the lines we discussed. We'll have renewal meetings, presentations to the commissioners, and then again, we're going to target open enrollment in the October timeframe. We found that that's worked pretty well for us. Any other questions?
Steve, with your new beard, you look like one of our local residents, Ulysses S. Grant, that was born down in Point Pleasant. You just need a cigar.
There, yeah, I was going to say, grow the hair out a little bit more.
You just need a cigar, you'd be all set.
That'd be
yeah.
perfect. All right. Thank you. And a horse, yeah.
He does that for our presentation.
But Ulysses S. Grant was only like 5'8", and that's why so many people couldn't believe him when they saw who he was.
Oh, really?
that He's such a small guy, yeah.
Didn't know that.
Nothing, I guess.
You're in good company.
Yeah, as I say, perfect. Yeah, I'm like an inch taller than him maybe on a good day. I round up.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good, thank you. We have a few minutes until 11 o'clock for our public hearing, so we'll move on. Consent agenda. The consent agenda was mailed to us on Friday. And are there any items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda for further deliberation and discussion, or can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as prepared?
So moved?
I'll second that motion.
Painter.
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. That moves us over to item, that was only one item. Item 2, on page 2. Board of County Commissioners resolution to pay our bills. Resolution 51-18 in the amount of $2,276,859.37. Do we have a motion to pay our bills and pass resolution 51-18?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Morning, Brandon Hepner, ISD Director. It's a recommendation of myself with the concurrence of Joseph Palmer, Jail Administrator, and Thomas Eigel, County Administrator, to approve a request to advertise for competitive sealed proposals for the purpose of implementing an inmate telephone system for the Clermont County Jail pursuant to the specifications therefore in compliance with Section 307.862 of the Ohio Revised Code, and to authorize the clerk of the board to place a legal notice in the Clermont Sun on 5/3/2018 with proposals to be received until 2 p.m. local time on Thursday, 5/17 of 2018 in the Board of County Commissioners Office, 101 East Main Street, Batavia, Ohio 45103, where they will be publicly opened and read out loud thereafter. The notice will also be posted on Clermont County's website at the URL www.clermontcountyohio.gov.
Okay, do we have a motion to advertise from competitive sealed bids for the inmate phone system as described in item 3?
So moved?
I'll second that motion. Hey, Jim, we do this every year, right? Is this a one-year contract, or when we've had phone systems, we've bid?
The phone system?
Yeah.
It's been renewed every year, but it hasn't gone out for bid in a while.
Is there like a time period where it has to, like a 3-year, or?
In the past, it's been a 3-year contract with the option to renew for an additional 3 years in 1-year increments. We did go out for bid last year, but we ended up rejecting the bids for failure to meet the specifications. And we are currently utilizing a month-to-month contract while we were waiting for the preparation of an RFP, which gives them greater negotiability. And they've increased the terms and conditions of what it is they're asking for in a turnkey operation. Is that correct, Brian?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
And I believe one of the competitive features on there is the payback for them providing that phone system to the jail.
Yes, that is part of it.
Okay. Good.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Next, item 4.
Item 4, I'm Jim Maloney, and the administrator for the Sheriff's Office. Item 4 is a request for funding relative to the collective bargaining agreement with the Clermont County Corrections Association, representing the corrections officers, 18-0412-003. Recommendation of Thomas J. Eichel, County Administrator, to approve the request of County Sheriff Robert S. Leahy for funding relative to the collective bargaining agreement by and between the Clermont County Sheriff and the Clermont County Corrections Association, representing the corrections officers, effective for the period 2/11/18 through 2/6 of 2021, pursuant to Section 4117.10 of the Ohio Revised Code and in compliance with the terms and conditions specified herein. And we completed that negotiation, and we were able to agree to 2.35, which the county gave this year to all employees, and we followed what the approved wage increase for the last 2 years of the contract. We followed the deputies' contract that we completed negotiating right before that, and that's 2.5 and 2.5 with a Me Too clause. And the Me Too clause is if during the second and third year of the contract, if the county gives non-union employees a higher wage increase than 2.5%, then the union receives that. That's what the Me Too clause is. Other than that, those negotiations were really uneventful. We decided that with Sheriff Leahy wanting to make sure that the uniforms for corrections officers were maintained all the way down to the shoes. We have supplied shoes for deputies ever since the contract for them in '86, and so we added that so that we could have more control over the type of shoe that is going on, that they're wearing, so that uniform-wise they are as neat and tidy as the deputies are. Other than that, that was about it. I mean, we went through without an issue.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the request for funding relative to the collective bargaining agreement as contained in item 4?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 5.
Item 5 is again with the Sheriff's Office in its execution of the pre-award condition forms by subgrantee as required by the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Office of Criminal Justice Services for the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, known as JAG, program entitled Clermont County Drug Unit for same 17-0519-006. Recommendation of Robert S. Leahy, County Sheriff, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eichel, County Administrator, to authorize Edwin H. Humphrey, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute the pre-award condition forms as the designated sub-grantee in and as it relates to the Edward Byrne Memorial Assistant Grant JAG application for funding heretofore filed with the Ohio Department of Public Safety, Office of Criminal Justice, P.O. Box 182632, 1970 West Broad Street, Columbus, Ohio 43218-2632, relative to the Justice Assistant Grant JAG program entitled Clermont County Drug Unit for the period of 1/1/18 through 12/31/18, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on May 31st, 2017. And as required thereby for the receipt of funding therefore pursuant to and in compliance with the terms and conditions set forth herein.
Okay, do we have a motion to execute the pre-award condition forms?
I'll second the motion. Jim, what's the value of this grant? Do you know?
This grant has been going down every year, It's a federal grant, and at one time, it basically covered the entire drug unit with their salaries. This past year, it was,
They're just estimates.
it's, last year was about $40-something thousand, and that was with our grant. Okay, it was $26,000 and change from the federal government, and the county's contribution was made up the 40-some-odd thousand that we had. This year, we're still waiting to receive the money. This grant has been held up due to a lawsuit filed by the sanctuary cities. And so we have to go through all the motions. As reason why I'm here today, we still have to file as if we're receiving the money through OCJS. It was last week that a federal court in Chicago stated that they were dismissing the lawsuit, but Attorney General Sessions has still not made up his mind whether or not he's going to file another injunction of those funds being distributed. I know that from our drug unit, Doug Ventry, task force is being updated constantly with information reference that, but we're just it's not happening. We haven't received the money, so any funds that we don't receive from this will have to come out of forfeitures to keep going. But we're still waiting. Hopefully they'll get that resolved and we can get our money.
Thanks for the explanation.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 6.
Hi, I'm Gary Bryant, Court Administrator for Juvenile and Probate Court. Gotta put my glasses on. Recommendation of Judge James A. Shriver, Clermont County Juvenile Court, with the concurrence of Thomas J. Eigel, County Administrator, to authorize Edwin H. Humphrey, President of the Board of County Commissioners, to execute Amendment Number 1 to the Ohio Department of Youth Services Juvenile Court Grant Agreement and Funding Application by and between the Board of County Commissioners in the State of Ohio, Department of Youth Services, 51 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio, 43215, on behalf of the Clermont County Juvenile Court for the Reclaim Ohio Grant Subsidy Program and the Youth Services Grant Subsidy Program for fiscal year 2018, which is July 1st of 17 through June 30th of 18, previously ratified by the Board of County Commissioners on June 21st of 2017. For the realignment of funds, which represents a decrease in the amount of $33,150.26 to the overall total program cost as more fully set forth therein, and in addition reflects the increase of the amount of $53,879.24 to the original total program cost of $1,432,251.44 to the revised total program cost of $1,486,130.68, as stated in the letter from the Ohio Department of Youth Services to the Clermont County Juvenile Court dated September 11, 2017, relative thereto.
Okay. Do we have a motion to execute the amendment number 1 as contained in item 6?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. Item 7. Vicky.
Suki Sheets with the Office Management and Budget. We have one supplemental appropriation this week. It is in the General Fund Criminal Justice Operating org for $35,000 increase. This is what we're going to need for the bargaining that's going to begin with the correction officers, supervisors, corporals and sergeants, which I guess is what we're going to call them.
Okay. Do Do we have a motion to resolve and approve and authorize the changes in the annual appropriation?
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. And 11 o'clock, we have a public hearing set, so we'll take a pause until 11. Okay, we've been requested to vacate a portion of Omni Drive in Union Township pursuant to 5553 of the Ohio Revised Code. Today is the date, time, and location of that public hearing. If anyone present has not signed in, please do so now. And we have Craig Reisner here, a deputy surveyor, to present that Omni Drive vacation to us.
My name is Craig Reisner, Clermont County Engineer's Office. The item today is a proposed vacation of a portion of Omni Drive, Township Road 914, located in Union Township. Per your request, I reviewed the provided description for vacating a portion of Omni Drive, 0.3734 acres, located in Union Township. This proposed vacation would create a landlocked parcel at the tail end of Omni Drive, and it should be considered on a contingency of a consolidation plat of parcels 4131-5A 175, 4131-5A 146, and there'll be two parcels created if you approve the vacation, 0.1237 acres and 0.1496 acres. There's also a portion that is contiguous to ODOT property. So a 0.1001 acre parcel, which would be created by the vacation, will be assigned to the Ohio Department of Transportation. And that's a portion that's in the ramp from 275 to State Route 32. The proposed vacation will reduce the Union Township road mileage by 0.050 miles. We've been provided a legal description and plat by a consultant, and they are acceptable for annexation purposes. As prepared by Thomas Graham Associates. There were two people, all the commissioners attended the viewing at 9 o'clock this morning. There were two residents there, Richard Haglage and Craig Kolb, K-O-L-B, Kolb. Richard Haglage is the owner of the properties adjacent to the proposed vacation. So the total length to be vacated, 0.05 miles.
Okay.
And these two parcels that we create will be assigned to the property on the left and the right of that roadway.
Correct. By law, they are automatically assigned to the adjacent property owners, which would be Mr. Haglage. Terra Firma Associates, Inc., I believe, is the name of the owner.
Assigned without cost.
Correct.
Yep. So do we have proponent testimony? Anyone that would like to speak to us as a proponent of the vacation? Okay, do we have opponent testimony? Anyone else that would like to speak? Okay.
I would just.
Do we have any correspondence?
Yes. I would just like to bring to the attention, I thought maybe Craig would, how we ascertained this, but a letter went to Patrick J. Munger from Corey Wright, the Assistant Township Administrator, Director of Planning and Zoning for Union Township, just indicating that the township was in receipt of a proposed vacation plat for Omni Drive, resulting in the vacation of approximately 0.3734 plus or minus acres of current dedicated public right-of-way, thereby reducing the overall street width and terminating the same with a cul-de-sac knuckle. Since Omni Drive has been reconstructed and resurfaced to accommodate the proposed vacation and reduced length cul-de-sac, Union Township has no objection to the proposed vacation request as submitted. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter, and please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. So that is how we ascertained this and how it came about in order for us to consider it, set the time and date for viewing and hearing, and the final disposition there and after.
Okay, so they're in support of the vacation.
I did also receive an email from Richard Haglidge in support of the vacation and his intent to consolidate the parcels if the commissioners do approve the vacation.
You provide that to our clerk, please?
Certainly.
Be in the record. Any other correspondence?
No, sir.
Okay, then I presume then next is to close the public portion of the hearing. And I know that a resolution has been prepared in case we want to move forward. Do we have a motion to approve that resolution, or do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion for resolution number 052-18.
Okay. Do we have a second?
We do have a second, and I'll go on with that resolution to determine to vacate a portion of Omni Drive at T914 in Union Township, Clermont County, Ohio, as described therein pursuant to and in compliance with 5553.04 of the Ohio Revised Code, contingent upon presentation and execution of a consolidated plat of parcels, which includes PIN 41-31-05A-175, PIN 41-31-05A-146, as well as the 0.1237 acre parcel and the 0.1496 acre parcel created by the referenced vacation, thus eliminating those parcels which would be landlocked thereby.
Yep, it's kind of those chicken and egg things. We have
Yep.
parcels that have no access, but yet we have to vacate the land, so this takes care of that.
Right.
And Craig has assured me that he's going to follow through with Mr.
I'm
Haglund,
sure of it.
and give us written notification so it can be scanned into the.
Okay. So we have a motion and second?
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig, for taking us out there today.
Yep. So we're at the public participation part of our meeting. Does anyone wish to participate? Okay. Then do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Have to sign anything for the vacation.
Is there a second to the motion to adjourn?
Second to adjourn. Or is that what that is?
Mr. Painter?
Yes.
Mr. Ubel?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Aye. That concludes our business for today. Thanks for joining us, and God bless.
Vacation.